While leagues are expanding, the playoff pool narrows. Get all the details on this week's episode of the IndyBar Report podcast. Back again, episode number 287 of the IndyBar Report podcast, the only show that asks the question, has the yeast been roused yet? Naturally, in reference to Allagash White, a fine Maine beer. What do you think, Ryan? What's the answer to the question?
I think this sentence makes me want to die. I default to the Arrested Development answer of, I don't understand the question and I will not respond to it.
There we go. There we go. That's what I like about you. You always have an answer, even when you don't have an answer.
I distinctly recommend not liking anything about me.
All right, so let's talk about baseball now. How about that? So, Frontier League seems to be the natural starting point.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, right. Ottawa and Tri-City got in. There was 3 teams for 2 spots.
Yeah.
Last week, we were really like, oh, it's going to happen here. And New York did complete the sweep. So, like, good on them. And then
they had to do, but it didn't matter.
And Ottawa did drop their first game against Quebec. And New York won it. And I was like, oh. And then, of course, nothing fun can happen. So
right.
You got to lose to them. First off, I think that's really where we got to start with. Talking about the Boulders for the last time until the season officially dead and over. How do you lose a must-win game to New England?
Yeah, that's
they
bad.
Almost dropped the first game, too. It required some heroics there to get it done. Which, again, very not good, but whatever. Then you drop game 2. Like, I wouldn't even care, but it's like there's 3 teams in the league that should be sweeps. And that's like such a crazy thing to say that you should be like walking to a series going, yeah, we're going to sweep them. Not 2 or 3, but just straight up sweep. Mm-hmm. New England's one of the 3. What are we doing?
Can't argue. I mean, yeah, and they have to figure it out. But like, but to be fair, there's not that good of a team. Like, when you remember, they're not that good of a. I don't know. There's no good. I'm stumbling for a way to say this. Which is when you remember, they're not that good of a ball club. I kind of are like, well, yeah, okay.
I see. I'd like to see their record from just July on. We take out May and June.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to know, because that hot start really warps my perception of them as a team, because they start off really good. And as I recall, their schedule favored them for that, to do exactly that. But still, it felt like a really hard drop off.
It was, but I don't know. If I went back, I probably didn't say as much as I thought it. But there were many points where I was like, yeah, but yeah, I always felt like they were beating bad teams and then turning around and splitting with good teams. And well, yeah, you could be like, well, that means they're a good team for splitting with a good team. It's like, well, yeah, but they're also coming in after playing a bad team and like being more rested because they played a bad team a lot of the time.
Just for the sake of argument here, I'm looking at their schedule. For May, they played New Jersey for 4, 3 Rivers for 3, New Jersey for 3, 3 Rivers for 3, New England for 3, Sussex County for 3. Then going into June, they had Quebec for 3, Sussex County for 3, Tri-City for 3, Ottawa for 3, Joliet for 3, New Jersey for 3, New England for 3, one random one-off game coming out of the All-Star break against New Jersey, and then a 3 spot against Quebec, and then we get into July. Well, not All-Star break. It was just that weird 3-day block where they had graduations for 3 days, and then they're like, New Jersey game. That makes 0 sense when you could just put on the Monday there, but whatever. And keeping in mind also, with the exception of that last Quebec series, the first one they played against them wasn't the real Quebec team. Ottawa was still very sus. Yeah, they were still sus at that point. And then everybody else, I mean, let's see where they finished, right? Bottom 3 or bottom 4 in the East, and Joliet, who finished not great. And I guess Tri-City is the one outsider there. But that's a 1 series set. That's 3 games. So, like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I will say during that so after June, they did go 24-30 was that record.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So if you break that down, I think that works out math wise to like every 6-game series, they're basically, losing. Oh my God, quick math.
Reduces down to 4 and 5.
So if you're playing 9, yeah, I mean, they are, if you give them a 9-game set, they're probably only winning one of them out of, those 3 series for the whole basically second half. And that's why, again, I'm like, well, yeah, they probably weren't going to sweep New England because here's the tough one is like a 444. The tough truth of it is New England was a 404 winning percentage team, or 404 team when it came to winning percentage. They're 40 points better than them in winning percentage, like down the stretch.
That's bad.
And frankly, New England kind of picked up the pace.
Yeah.
Which is kind of remarkable.
Which, side note,
do the thing.
Yeah, just an aside real quick. They did finish 6 and 4 in their last 10. Did they do enough to avoid cleaning house after year 1? From a baseball upside? I still would.
Are you asking my opinion? Or are you asking? Yeah, that's it. Are you asking my opinion? Or are you asking?
Yeah, I'm asking your opinion. Like, I know they won't do that because they don't want to.
They won't do it. I think you need to clean house. I don't care what you did at the end of the year against trash teams.
Mm-mm.
A lot of those wins. I mean, I'm looking right now. I'm trying to figure out what their record was when they weren't playing New Jersey or Sussex, but
not good. That's the answer.
After June, New York was 24-30. New England was 26-25. New England was above 500 team after June. They went 10-2 against Sussex this season. Sussex, honey, what's the plan? Like, good
plan is to be picking number 1 overall come February in the draft.
Cool.
Look how good it went for New England.
Here's the funny thing. New England 3-9 against New Jersey, but 10-2 against Sussex. Riddle me that, Batman. What the hell's going on there?
Corey Octon can only do so much.
25. They were 25-45 against teams that weren't Sussex or New Jersey. Ow. Frankly, if you want the real stat, they were 28-54 against teams that weren't Sussex. I mean, and if you keep in mind that they ended their season, because we're talking about, after June, they had a winning record that did include a 6-1 stretch. 6-1 stretch against Sussex in the last couple weeks there. 7-2 total. So yeah, I mean, that helps. But I mean, they did pick it up. I mean, I don't think they're gonna make big changes unless it's just people getting the hell out of there, which it could be.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't really even care about that streak at the end. Just the way things are ran, I don't really want to give it a year 2. Now, of course, I think we're both in lockstep that even when the hiring was made, we were like, this is not going to end well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not exactly like
I don't know that a second offseason is going to fix some of these issues. That's my thing.
Like
I'm not looking at their offseason being, ooh, so close.
Yeah.
Like, it's not really.
I don't think he wants the Frontier League, but man, imagine Billy Horn over there.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Like, my answer for always, like, this organization's a mess. I said Billy Horn.
Horn, okay. Just checking.
Yeah.
Horton also sticks pretty close on that name.
He wouldn't be a bad.
No, I don't know. Yeah, honestly, get a hands on that.
It still works. His style will still work over there.
Actually, a stability step up, frankly.
My answer for like this organization is a dysfunctional mess is always either dude that's for the boys to keep morale high in the room, or guy that has a rigid system because it's like we can ignore everything else going on and just focus on baseball.
Yeah, that's also kind of it, right?
Yeah, like you need one of the two options. Anything else ain't gonna work.
Yeah, honestly, it's a good observation on that one. And it's kind of, I mean, we've had that conversation in the past. Like we have basically suggested that same conversation to people, but they won't listen because why would they?
Well, swinging it back to New York is just it is a difficult year for them. On one hand, Ottawa, they did win the last two games that they needed to win, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway, even if New York would have swept them. But it's a tough pill to swallow, knowing like, yo, we had a lead in this division for so long, we had a playoff spot for so long, and we had the schedule we really wanted for the last like 6 games.
Yeah.
And we couldn't make it work. Now, of course, they would have done themselves a lot of favors if they would have won like one more game in the last 2 series. They could have taken one more against Tri-City, would have helped the cause, but
would have been cool.
Yeah. But it's just games that you dropped against teams like Sussex, like New Jersey, like New England that you say we really should have beat them and we didn't. And that's the one that kind of sticks at you a little bit. Like if you lose to Quebec, it's like, all right, one of the top 2 teams in this league, best team in our division. Gotta happen. Even if you lose,
they'll do that. Yeah.
So like, even if you lose to like Tri-City, you're like, they're a team that's on our level. So
that leaves a what if.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
It sticks a little more. You know what it is? It's one of those things where you want to. We might talk about last pod, or it was in like my non-podcast life, which is weird. But it was something along the lines of you should be able to look at this as like how if Lake Erie didn't make the playoffs, they would have been like, hey, but like we made a lot of good strides. This was supposed to be a build year. It went well. However, they got so close and were in a playoff spot that if they didn't seal the deal against Schaumburg and Schaumburg got them, then that would have stung in a way, which it sucks because it shouldn't have. If you just looked at the result and you were just told, hey, this was the record, they missed the playoffs, but like, here's what everyone did, you would be like, oh, that's great. It's when you're told like, yeah, they were this close and lost. They're like, oh, that leaves a bit of a bitterness. And I think that's kind of where the Boulders find themselves after losing to that opponent. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's just like the circumstance hurts more than what ultimately happened because you feel like, all right, in a vacuum, if we just said like, this is how it wound up working out, you're like, okay, fine, that's going to happen. But when you say like, yeah, but look at everything that was leading up into it, you're like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
the on paper versus the human reality.
Exactly. It's hard not, you kind of get your emotions wrapped up in it once that's a situation, and it's hard not to feel some type of way when it goes sideways.
Yeah.
It is interesting. I didn't even think about that with the Boulders. And then, I thought about it with Lake Erie, and then Lake Erie ended up not having that issue. But now here I am like, well.
Which honestly brings us to the other race before we get into the wild card games. That is a weird playoff race for that final wild card in the West, right? Like,
right, very much so.
Both of them lose out, and it's just like, this is how it is.
Hooray, you've done it.
Yeah, it's like what the Sailor Moon meme, where it's like, my job here is done. You did nothing at all.
Literally, for my NASCAR aficionados, just this last week was the last race before NASCAR playoffs started. Martin Truex is on the cut line for the playoffs. Does something dumb, lap 2 of a 500 lap race, and wrecks himself, or of a 400 lap race or whatever, wrecks himself, and like literally leaves the track, gets on a flight home, lands, checks his phone, and is like, oh, I made the playoffs. Like, that's it.
So I guess you could say it's a good thing he didn't check himself before he wrecked himself.
I guess you could say that, Nick. Yes.
Schaumburg's got to be built different to know that they just win one game. One game, you're in the playoffs.
Ooh, hey, buddy, could you not shit the bed? Oh, you're going to do it. Okay, cool.
Well, I mean, their logo, I still don't quite understand what they are, like logo-wise, like mascot-wise. Like, what is a boomer? Like, is it some
It's
sort of like
bird.
ground chicken?
Ground. Don't involve me in this.
But yes, any other thoughts on that hellhole of a race? If you lose out and fall ass backwards in the postseason, it's a hellhole of a race.
Yeah, you're right.
Also, in case you're wondering, according to Wikipedia, a boomer is also referred to as a greater prairie chicken. Yeah, so back to where we were. Grape team beat chicken team to get last playoff spot against bear team, and then bear team just forgot how to play baseball after the 6th inning.
Yeah, that's a fair way to look at it.
Dude, this bird apparently.
Oh my god! What are we doing?
These things undergo inbreeding, causing observable. Yeah, I know I said observable way wrong. They were just going with it.
Yeah, I know. Speaking of inbreeding, my guy.
I mean, it's possible because these things have inbreeding depression.
I mean,
yeah. So where were you before I distract you by talking about this somewhat delicious looking bird?
Oh man,
people listen to the show.
I know. I'm so sorry, guys. And I'll just be transparent about like part of my issue here is I was only box score watching this past week. I didn't even get a chance to like watch all the games because I personally had a wild week that involved some travel, involved some busting myself up and having to get my hands super glued together like a sad puppet of a man, which is a larger metaphor for my life.
Oh god, it's dark meat.
Mildly off. It's dark meat. You're so stupid.
I'm talking about the prairie chicken again.
No, I'm aware of this. I just
want to clear that up.
Also, dropping 3 to Joliet or dropping 2 to Joliet at the end there is wild. Wait, no, they don't drop 1. What are we talking about here?
I don't know. I'm talking about prairie chickens.
I mean, I understand Joliet beating them that last game was kind of silly, but also very Joliet. Now, if we're talking about the absolute collapse that is Schaumburg being smacked by Washington team with nothing to play for, well, that's a different conversation.
Yeah, like
that's a tough one.
You kind of have a comment there, right? Like, who did Washington throw in that doubleheader?
Bro, they have a doubleheader with nothing to play for at the end of the season, playoffs like later in the week. You can't have it. You just can't get worked that way twice. God, dude.
So what's the feel? Because I'm pretty sure those games were in Washington too. What's the feeling on that bus trip back?
Oh, it's got to be empty. Like, it's got to be like there's a lack of air. Like,
just no noise.
Oh. You leave the hotel that day. You had a day off to think about that doubleheader. You leave the hotel that day ready to, to hit the road to Gateway. Like, that's what you're ready for. And just know you're going home, dude. Damn, buddy. You're going back to clean the locker out. That's one of the worst bus rides out there. I'll tell you that much. Even without the, it being right there for you. Like, I've been there on that bus ride without the added layer of absolutely not being able to handle a team that has nothing to play for in a doubleheader. They threw Malik Barrington for 3, Nick McDonald for 2.
In fairness, Barrington's
for 2.
Oh dear God, that's an 8-hour bus trip, dude.
I know. Well, I mean, again, that's the thing with Washington. I think we talked about this actually with Quebec, but we could have talked about the same thing with Washington. Is like they're like clearing out the back end of the bullpen and whatever else is all like quality dudes, like for the most part. Like they did throw Youngju Kim for the save. Like that's rude.
Mean.
And it's kind of rude. Brendan Nail, Alex Carrillo, Christian James. I mean, they didn't hold back on them, which I do think that's part of having the days off. That's what the bye will get you.
Mamba mentality.
Dude, honestly, smoke them if you got them, and they're in your ballpark. You got them. So
the disrespect to come to your ballpark and think they're going to clinch their playoff berth there.
You know what is real motivation, frankly? Like real motivation I've seen firsthand and with other teams that I've been around is they're not popping that champagne in our ballpark. No. It might not
matter. Lake Erie, it's not going to be on that
we
field.
We might have already danced here, but like, we ain't doing none of that. Like, we won't be, and that's the thing too. You're not going to be messing up our clubhouse like that, which means we're not going to. Now I will step in and say, if you're ownership, you can't be like, you're not allowed to do that here. That's grow up. You're ridiculous. But I know, I'm a moron. Anyway. But like, yeah, I don't want to outside, I've seen that. I've been a part of that and I've watched it as a losing party, seeing somebody else celebrate on your home field. It sucks. So like, I get it. That seems like probably as good motivation as anything, frankly.
Taped a picture on the fridge for the off season.
Buddy, talk about something that gets you through those off season workouts. If that's the vibe you're on,
that's how you get those extra 2 reps in at the end of every set.
God. I hate one-way rugby. Hate them. To this day, I hate them. Lives in my brain. We all got one.
But, if you're Schaumburg, though, in a must-win situation in a doubleheader, like, you got to take one of the two. Like, there's no way you lose them both.
Yeah, man. And, like, I'm looking at, game 2, like, it's a tough one, man. I mean, I don't want to pile on anybody, but like, it's a tough day for Jacob Smith to give up 4 in the first. You know what I mean? Jesus. And threw her own bomb off LaGrange. Classic, by the way. Classic. Error from the third baseman. Affects another run coming in. Classic.
Like, how much is that just now you're starting to press because the reality's setting in?
Oh, I think so. I think that's it. I think all of a sudden you're realizing, oh, now I got to make these pitches. You're sitting there watching the game 1 loss. It's in your head a little bit.
Yeah, which I think is too part of what happened tonight against in the Quebec game, which we should probably keep things moving there.
Yeah,
Jesus, kind of got to that because we have 2 wildcard games to get to. But yeah, I think tonight you saw a pitcher pressing on the mound, which cost Quebec game 1. But several things cost Quebec game 1, but we'll get to that in a second here. Keeping things going, you had Tri-City and Ottawa. Tri-City hosting that first wildcard game. Simply put, Ottawa needed to hit to win, and they hit early. 3 runs in the first. Jandren threw 7 really strong innings. Wes Albert got banged around a bit. He got his Ks, but in games that got to win, stats don't matter as much.
Right.
And there really wasn't much offense from Tri-City. They kept Campos and Novak quiet, which are the big 2 in that lineup, and that's really all she wrote. Titans look good, and they performed when they needed to. Not much simpler than that.
Yeah. You kind of nailed it. Again, this was another one I had a box score scout, so that's a tough one. I'm going to do a lot of binge watching some of these playoff games probably after this episode / tomorrow afternoon while I'm actually sitting out of my house and being able to catch up on stuff. I was just looking back to see. Well, frankly, Jacob Smith had been struggling for Schaumburg. Like, I just don't want to come down to Jacob Smith. Damn, that sounds rough. There's no good way to say that. Sorry, I'm still in that series. I'm just like, Damn, dude, lost both. Anyway, I'm back. Ryan's back.
Yes. So, any other thoughts on that wild card game there? I think it was who was it?
No.
Hallmark retired at the end of it,
Yes,
which is a tough way to go off. But
yeah, it's a tough one too. Not overwhelmingly surprising. Kind of, they are who we thought they were. Thing like Tri-City is. Yeah. That's a great example of a team who should be happy for the result they got this season, and not dwell on that too much. I mean, with it being a build, I mean, we saw them improve during the course of the year. So, yeah, I think it just they need to find more consistency next year. I think they would agree with that. So it'll be interesting to see what moves they make to try to shore that up. It'll be interesting to see if we see anybody leave Tri-City.
That for me is the
experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm big on that because, I mean, we know how things can go with Taggart and how his style's not for a lot of people. And I'm curious to see what that offseason is like. Obviously, he got further than Pete got, meaning that, you know, we played a playoff
Interesting.
game.
Yes.
So good for them. But it's still not where you'd expect to be. You would hope for more than that. But they never were like overly impressive this year. And even you look through it, they weren't like a good, they were fine hitting. And pitching wise, they're pretty damn average.
True. I mean, I have doubts on this Tri-City team, but I do think they showed an ability to play with the big dogs right now. And I get like we're holding them to the standard of what Tri-City wants to see, but I think any first year with a new manager in indie ball, I think not taking a massive step backwards is a win. And you could argue they made a step forward this year. I'm not sure that they were better than the past teams, but they sure as hell made it further. So that's
what matters.
A huge sign. I think you got to be happy with that season. I mean, if you're putting a grade on it, I think that's a B plus season from them.
I'll be doing that later on, but
yeah, I'm sure we will be. But I'm just saying, like, if you're them looking at that season, I think that's something.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely
hang your hat up. Yeah.
Plus, getting about 2,000 in for a playoff game on short notice is pretty solid.
Pretty good, not bad. But really short notice too, actually. So that should probably not be overlooked.
A lot better than the attendance in Gateway.
Well,
did you see that?
I honestly did not. I did not lay eyes on these games.
Reported was 3 figures.
Good God, Gateway.
It wasn't high 3 figures either.
Can't have that. Yeah. I mean, look, playoff games, I've said before, are tough. It's like an all-star game where you feel like it should be high ticket sales, but the logistics are a real pain.
That, and also
but they were in for a while, you know.
Yeah, but it's also middle of the week, right when school's getting back in session.
Tri-City figured it out. Like, you know, everyone's dealing with it.
Talking about that game now, that was a bit of a wild ride there, wasn't it?
Again, didn't see it in person, but I caught a little bit of highlights and saw the box score. And I mean, Gateway, babies, what is happening out here?
Hibernated early this year, about 3 innings too early. Like,
guessing Miley, you know, could have just been a 5-inning outing. I will encourage everybody to take your eyes off of pitch count and look at pitch situation. Like, is it high stress pitching situations? Like, he labored through the bottom of the first. The second inning, he dealt with traffic. He had a guy in scoring position. In the third inning, he was a lot smoother, but he did have a leadoff walk. The fourth inning, he cruised a little bit. The fifth inning, he looked like he was cruising. Now, the confirmation bias says, hey, you know, this is, he's rolling right now. He's only at like probably 70-ish pitches, whatever. Gateway, it's a one-off game. You don't wait for a problem. You do not wait for the problem. You go, you know, this is his 3rd time through the order. He has thrown a lot of high-stress pitches early in this game. It is a one-ball game.
Counterpoint. Here's what I can say to counter that, though, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Let him cook.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Not
You
in
mean to tell me
game.
your
Don't do that.
hard-throwing pitcher that's already been through the lineup twice against a team that literally only hits extra base hits, nothing else on offense, you shouldn't leave in until there's a problem?
Yeah, don't do that. Do not do that.
Let them cook.
Yeah, man. It's just frustrating. Weird box score here, by the way. I think they messed up the box score. I think Reagan's did not go up 4 runs, gave up 3.
So.
Yes. But for interleague box scores are always kind of a bit of a mess. Yeah, I mean, look, you got to bet on the bullpen being good. The bullpen was not good. However, you know, you have them for a reason. You have to bet on it. They got burned on this one. So, like, hindsight's 2020. But you can say that in either, because the bullpen wasn't good either. You know what I mean? So if like the bullpen came in and shut down, it's like, oh well, should have gone to the bullpen sooner. But like, it's not like that helped. But I'm saying, as a matter of, if you're listening, think about the weight of pitches with. I've seen some math on it. It's not a very developed concept, but it was like basically weight those pitches as like 1 1/5 pitches. So like 5 high stress pitches equals like 6 in a normal game. If he throws, maybe 25 high stress pitches, maybe that pitch counts in 75, it's 80. Do you look at that differently? Maybe, maybe not. I tend to think it's more toward 1 1/2 pitches.
Okay.
But that's in the weeds. I'm just saying that's something I always keep in mind, especially in an elimination game. It's a different conversation when you got to throw away bullpen saving for a series, but dude, it's a 1-run game. It's an elimination game.
Yeah, in a way, it's almost unfair how it all comes down to that, but it's also like that's...
Well, that's because 1-run elimination games are a joke, but I will be a team player on this one.
Here's the thing. I also understand that, though, in a league of this size, like, come on.
Well, in a league of this size, I feel like if you make the top 3, you're deserving of more than just one game. If you make the top 3 of 8 in a division, if this was the American Association and everyone gets to stumble into the damn playoffs, like, then yeah, maybe you should have to play a 1-game playoff. But I just think it's a little bit silly the way it is. Sorry, the playoff system, we've been over it. I get bothered by it, but it's fine. It's fine.
My point was more or less that even with just the 3 that are in there, everybody's so far spread out that to then add on an extra 2 and then to play another 3-game set and then have a 5-game set after that, it starts to add up. These games already are largely not profitable. So now you're really killing these teams by saying you got to spend a lot without getting a lot back. Like, yeah, the players are playing September for free, but like, still, it's going to add up.
Yeah, but also, like, fix your trash playoff system. Or your trash footprint, rather. Like, I get it, but like, also, like, there's a lot of baseball operations departments and players who work, and fans are very invested in this just to get bounced in 1-game playoff. It's like, damn, dude. All right. Like, Gateway had a good year.
I mean, MLB did that for a while, though, where they had the 1-game playoff.
Yeah, and it was trash then. The 3-game is still trash now. Also, too many teams in the playoffs there. But this is, at least, these teams have differentiated themselves. I mean, the lowest winning percentage getting into the playoffs in this league is a 537. That's pretty damn good. Like, it's a 620 winning percentage. You win 59. You go 59-63. Sorry, 59-36. And then you just get stuck with a 1-game playoff. That sucks.
Yeah, I do like it, though, because it keeps things moving, though.
Sure, but
I'm just saying, it's a really hard ask.
Keep it moving if you're only going to have to do a bye because you have 6 teams. I'm a fan of the system of, hear me out on this one, and we're not going to do a playoff system conversation, but I would suggest that perhaps a better system is, okay, 4 teams do make it. However, if you're the second team, you get home advantage against the third team. If you're the first team, you get home advantage against the fourth team and a 1-game head start. You got to win 1 before they win 2.
I don't like that. I feel like you gotta walk in on a level field.
Nah. Your opportunity for level field was winning the damn division. You didn't. You had almost 100 games to get a level field.
Oh, then wasn't the argument of,
Make
well,
the
you had
regular
almost 100
season
games
matter.
to not play a 1-game playoff.
Yeah, but when like 2/3 of the league is stuck with a 1-game playoff, like that is, you snuck into this. That team won the division, so that's what you get now. You have to win 2 on.
I don't like starting with someone having a head start.
Buddy, I mean, that's a better political conversation than you think, but that's a different one for a different
I would
day.
rather just have the top 2 teams make the playoffs, do a 3-game, and then go to like a 7-game for the last bit.
Or we grow up like adults and get rid of playoffs. Do it European soccer style.
No.
Just bad teeth and no playoffs, baby.
No. What next? We're going to do ties instead of extra innings?
We're already doing home run derbies. What are we talking about out here?
I never saw it like that. And also,
No,
the Frontier League.
We should kill that with fire, for sure.
And the Frontier League is doing the weird sudden death thing where either like you get a run or you don't.
Which is, I will once again remind everybody, is a stupid system, and you should never, well, not never, unless there's an exceptional circumstance, always pick pitching. Literally, a runner on first with nobody out favors the pitching team. Like, we have decades of baseball history to help us calculate this.
Literally, a ground ball nearly ends the inning.
Yes, what are we talking about here? Like, they're trying to make it is the closest to 50-50, and yet it is not 50-50. If baseball is a game of randomness and numbers, which it is, like, sorry.
Well, Ryan, one bad pitch.
Unless, of course, you are at that, like, stacked part of the lineup and you're short on pitchers, then, let the boys eat. But, like, it ain't that.
What if my pitcher throws a hanging slider?
Then it go far.
Is bad?
The baseball go far.
Baseball go far is bad on D?
Slider bad. Baseball go far.
You just heard that. Ryan, pro gas, no braking.
Oh, dude, no. For sure. All gas, no brakes. Tell Bill Murray about it.
Big Kevin Millie guy.
My gosh.
But yeah, so I don't really think I said all too much about that wild card game, so I guess I'll get to that. Yeah, I just props to Lake Erie for hanging in there and finding a way to score 10 runs, which I don't know sure if they've done that in the month of August. So good on them for that.
Also impressive, yeah.
Yeah. They managed to play a game that, frankly, I didn't think they were going to win, both on just skill and on the fact of when we start getting to you're going to have to score this many runs to win. That's not their thing. So once it started turning to a straight up offense fest, I was like, okay, this is going to be done soon.
Oh, we boat racing. Got it.
Yeah. So
I don't know how to tell you this. Lake Erie scored 11 runs 2 days prior.
Oh, that's surprising.
However, before that,
yes,
you're going to want to go all the way back. Oh boy, you were close, dude. Hold on now. I will give you props. You were, buddy, you were to July 6th. Let's say, how about this for clutch hitting?
55
they went
days.
August 6th to or July 6th to August 31st without scoring 10 runs, scored 11 to get the win that would eventually claim the playoff spot, and then dropped the 10 spot in the first playoff game. Did they get shut out badly in the next game? Hey, yeah, but still though.
What bum team let them drop 11? What bum team?
Come on now.
Man, really? Come on, man.
Boys. Hey, guys, can't let it happen.
That's a bad luck. Real bad luck.
Damn, y'all got shamacked.
I think. But any case, point stands of Gateway should have had this. Gateway should have had this on a lot of different levels. They had it lined up. They knew what the deal was. They had home field. And you did the one thing you couldn't do, which was let them hit the ball far. If you would have forced them into, you're going to have to take pitches and play small ball, you would have won. But instead, you let them crush the damn thing. Now, if my memory serves me correctly, I believe Gateway is a little bit more prone to big fly ball. But even still, it's Lake Erie. Just pitch around the three of them that can somewhat hit. Like, come on.
For you.
Like, I'm just saying. It's not good. It continues the trend of, hey, Gateway, can you please just win the game that you need to win? And then them going, I don't feel like it.
I think it's over simplification, but yeah.
Just close the door. You have a 6-run lead. Just close the door.
Finish him.
Get 9 outs. Okay, so you let him get 3 back. Okay, but it's 8-5 now. All right. But you only need to get 6 outs, right? And then it's okay, it's still 8-5. Right? All you gotta do is get 3 outs. All right. Now, you could even at this point trade runs for outs and still come up in the 9th and win the damn thing.
We're talking the game theory that was theoretically the Falcons could have started taking knees at 28-3 and actually, gotten a win out of it.
So yeah, that's tough for your Gateway.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah, I'm just looking at how this all came together. I mean, the leadoff homer is a wake up call right off the bat, and then a walk. They did make a double. Good Lord, yeah. I mean, it's stacked quick, but still, I don't know. Not great. What do you want to see?
I almost feel like once again, the 6th inning, you just keep one guy warm. Right?
Yeah.
So that way second.
Yes, in single elimination, I would say even before that, I would.
After the second time through?
Buddy, before it.
Really?
Have a guy warm. Have a guy loose, at least loose. Doesn't need, he's not hot. He's not, getting worn. He's not hot to the point of hey, those pitches are going to cost him tomorrow if you need him. Single elimination, next, you're playing for your life. No, someone's up in the pen now. Always, and just have it set as the thing. It's not in the pitcher's head. It's he knows it's an elimination game, so we have somebody ready. This is our policy, and it ain't nothing on you. You could be, 15 up, 15 down, 15 strikeouts. Still got a guy ready just in case. He can be ready to go in 10 throws. That's where what you're thinking. Yeah, but it's counterintuitive, and I think sometimes there was this thought for a long time that it's the playoffs, but don't change your style anymore. Don't change it. Let it to manage it it's a normal game. Don't mess with guys. They're professional athletes. Guys are adults. No, you have to manage this differently. Season's online today, so you're gonna have to do some weird stuff. Is what it is. You have a day off tomorrow, or you have a lot of days off.
The one thing I will say about not managing it differently is I think to a certain degree you do keep it normal. I think you want them the same general mindset approaching it. I just think in-game decision, you don't give them the leash.
Maybe.
I don't think I set my lineup any different. I don't think I'm going to make the decision, as far as removing a player or something like that.
Yeah.
Until we start getting late game, then it's okay, once we start running low on time, I'm not doing anything crazy in before the 4th inning.
You can believe in the numbers, but once you're down to the end, you might want to start looking hot hand. That's sort of the feel.
Yeah. It's okay, we're in the 8th now. Okay. That bat just went through. He's probably not getting up again. He's out. It's defense time.
Did you? Yeah, that's what I got on that one.
Yeah. So on that note, let's get to the two games that happened, the two game ones that have happened here. Right. Washington's a little bit quicker to go through. Washington shut them out. Quick 2 runs, stayed that way the whole time. Escobar did well for Lake Erie, but Kobe Foster just outdueled him through a gem. Lake Erie only 3 hits in the whole game, none after the 6th. So that's a tough one. Going Saturday, Davis comes out, Eisenberger versus Kirby to keep the season alive for the Crushers or to send Washington to a final. So it's been a minute since they got to a final, too, mind you. A lot of good teams just can never really get over the hump in recent years. So I guess try to stay neutral, but I obviously have biases. On one hand, it would be kind of nice to see Lake Erie kind of, keep the thing going, keep the thing moving. On the flip side, though, it kind of feels like now's the time for Washington. I feel like they paid their dues.
I agree. There's been a bit of a strategic rebuild. Well, I don't necessarily root for one team over the other. I do like what's good for leagues. So it seems to be good for leagues. And I think it's good for the league that teams that put in work and are intentional about how they put in work are rewarded. So yeah, I think that would be a good thing. But Lake Erie is interesting. I think it's good to see Lake Erie succeed as well. So I'm kind of hype about either one of those things, honestly.
That's the thing. Lake Erie has put in the work.
Yeah, I'm not saying they
went ahead.
Right.
No, they went ahead. They tore it down. They brought in Jared Lemieux. So rough first year, but there was something there. Year 2, they made the postseason. Yep. So almost ahead of schedule, I would say. On schedule, but maybe a little ahead. And they built a team that's, let's be honest, entirely pitching. This is a team that is pitching.
Yeah, which is a wild choice, but I kind of like the chaos of that choice.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to keep that up over the whole year in indie ball. I guess Frontier's a little bit easy because you're not getting really pilfered as much. But that being said, it's a tough thing to keep up. They managed to keep it up, although it stretches in the year. It did look like the workload was starting to become noticeable. But they got here. They had a really high note win against Gateway. And if it ends, I guess it would be tonight, then you can at least look back and go, hey, it was a great year. A lot of these guys you can bring back for the second go around, and you walk in and say, there's a lot that we can build off of. We just need to improve the offense a little bit. And I think it's pretty safe to say it's easier to find hitting than it is to find pitching, because pitching is just, it's really hard to find consistently good pitching, consistently good starters and bullpen guys that not just start the year with you, but finish the year with you. That's really the challenge.
Yes.
And so to have that, especially in the Frontier League, that probably got the, I don't want to say the worst, but the most stringent roster, Pioneer. But
well, yeah, but I understand what you mean. Pioneer League almost has a different market for players. Yeah.
Yeah. Among the kind of traditional ones, toughest one to probably build and have sustained success in. There's a lot there, and they can still have that next year with a team like Washington. I look at it and go, you're like Lake Erie, but 3 years from now, right? You're more complete. You have more there. The Foster Kirby 1-2 is just phenomenal.
Dude, no.
And
then the bullpen, so much too. They hand it over to the bull. I mean, you finally get Foster off the mound after 90 pitches and 7 innings, and they go right to Christian James, right to Kim. Like, okay, thanks for coming.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
It's phenomenal.
What is that? 6 batters they faced. Good. Yep, 3-3. So, well, that's one way for game 1 to go.
Exactly. So, I'm not going to say I'm rooting against Lake Erie, but it would be nice to see Washington finally get there and have a shot at it. Plus,
I can understand that perspective.
Yeah. Plus, now seeing, okay, it's Ottawa, Quebec. That series is still far from over. But,
yeah.
Should it be Quebec that manages to get through, they're going to need to win both games in Quebec, which is absolutely a thing they can do. Look
It's
back
absolutely
to
a thing they've done before.
ask New Jersey about that last year. How that went for them winning game 1.
Yeah, really.
And so part of me wants to see that Quebec Washington matchup really badly because I feel like we're going to see, oh God, the thought of I know Sandberg had an injury and had to leave early from today's game, and hopefully it's not bad, but I would feel a little bit robbed if I didn't get to see like Sandberg and Bradwell go against Foster and Kirby, like those. Like that's
it is the most intriguing playoff matchup to me. I agree. Yeah,
and they're just the two most complete teams, so I kind of want to see that. But it's still we have two really good matchups. So
yeah, I feel you.
Yep. Swinging over just to talk about that Quebec game quickly. Game 1 was tough.
Yeah.
There wasn't much offense there. Ottawa played the game they needed to play, which was keep it low scoring. If he starts to get into a foot race, they're going to lose it. Right. And some controversy around the one run that Quebec got. Didn't see it, obviously, because, I refuse to pay for $30 a month for Flow Sports. That's not going to happen. Right. So just going off what I heard is something about calling time being granted or not being granted. Either way, when you score 1 or 2 runs in a game, I'm not going to sit here and listen to you complain about, how things go. Score more runs if you don't want it to matter. But tough game there. The possible injury to Sandberg, not great.
No.
So that's tough. The way the 9th and the 10th went, not great. Having a lead, being 1 out away, and then maybe a questionable decision to, intentionally walk a guy in the 9th. Not the best call. And then in the 10th to just walk home the winning run. That's aggravating. But hey, we've seen Quebec come back from a 1-game deficit before.
True. Yeah, again, I don't really, I'm not like, oh, Quebec, this is it. But also, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, this is a quality Ottawa team. And I do think it's also Ottawa team that is probably a little tired of getting smacked by Quebec.
Last go around when they played in the playoffs, Ottawa nearly had them, but Quebec again did that thing where they're like, hey, where you thought you had me dead to rights? That's not happening now.
It does have a certain Sisyphus feel to it, let's be honest. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't know. It's so hard to pick against, Ottawa. Or Quebec rather. They're just such a machine.
Yeah, it's Bradwell Blowers in game 2 here. Yeah, that's the thing that I know it's look, you can past performance, current performance, they don't count, but it's 25 years they've been doing this. Been through this. They have more championships than losing seasons. This is what they do.
What they do, exactly. Yeah.
They just had a roundhouse kick teams.
Yeah. And there's a lack of, there's nothing in you. There's oh, they're panicking. It's there's very few situations that they've been involved in where they haven't been in before.
Yeah, there's a certain escapability that they have in their game. And when you have that kind of escapability, you have that ability to just keep trucking along, keep going along. You can't just stop saying oh, they can't do it. Which
they've constructed a roster that gives them every available option. They are never in checkmate until you're right on top of them. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not gonna be a forced checkmate because of the way they built the roster in a flawed manner. This is what they built the roster for. So you have to earn every out against Quebec. So that's where I'm also very interested to see what kind of, Ottawa team we're dealing with here. Is this a team that can put together a good game, or is this a team that can put together a good series and pounce and shut a team down? Also interested to see how they're going to work their resources. I mean, now they're 2 intense games in pitching wise.
Yeah, and 6 pitches last night for the game 1.
Yep, and they're going to have to, of course they have the day off, but they're going to have to think about how hard are they selling out to take game 2? I figure pretty hard, but like,
yeah, you don't want to take it to game 3.
If you're down 2 runs, how hard are you going? Like things like that. That is stuff that can cost you dearly based on how you decide to go about things. So it'll be interesting. That's what I watch in those series, but that's just because I'm a degenerate.
That's the thing. So like they've had 2 tough games, so part of you wants to lean off a little bit in game 2. The flip side, and also you have won 3 in a row versus Quebec. That's something that needs to be noted. The flip side of that, of course, is Grant Larson ate a Kyle Crawl comebacker off his leg today and was apparently using crutches in the dugout. So that's not a great sign for your probably best or second best starting pitcher.
Right.
And I would imagine that game 3 now will belong to Jandren, who would be pitching on, I guess, regular rest.
Rest, I think so.
He'd be fine. But if you're taking Larson out of the arsenal, that kind of takes away your emergency shoot here. Like if Jandren gets into trouble, it's not like you can just go like, okay, Larson, go warm up and save us for 3 innings.
Yes.
And that's a factor in it too. You would figure as well, Quebec's going to obviously come out hard. They get the Blowers early and you got to go to that pen because, that's probably your go-to. Now your bullpen's going to be exhausted. So I guess it's maybe like if Quebec comes out and gets to him, you just tell him like, you're going to eat this one, son.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Just like, hey,
that's the job, man. Like,
we need you to get through 6 or 7.
Yeah. Kyle Walker did that a few ago for the Phillies, and everyone's like, hell yeah, man. Like, appreciate that. But, like, love it if you, went out and had a damn game. But, like, you got to know, all right, so we weren't able to win maybe this game on your efforts, but, like, we might be able to win tomorrow because of your effort today. Like, that's a huge deal.
Yeah. So
you build a roster, people understand that, too. Like, that's what you should be doing.
Yeah, and I mean, we already went through 6 pitchers, one of which now is not going to be, well, 2 of those guys are probably unavailable. I'd imagine you're not going to risk Larson unless it's a situation where it's a chance to win the game.
Well, and because think about it too. I mean, if you're putting some pressure on, I mean, that in that situation, hypothetical, we'll talk in between this series, but this is anything like just the game theory of it is if you're down 6 early, and you're like, hey, man, I'm going to need you to eat this. Like, you're going to have to keep going out there and pitching while we're down. You're still up in the series. So that means the team that you're taking on, like if it's Quebec, still has to be attentive and keep using pitchers. And if your guys can work counts, if your guys can get in their bullpen a little bit, then you can go in at least even on the pitching rest, if not with an upper hand sometimes on pitching rest, while they're trying to like make sure they don't blow a lead in a game that they really need, they have to survive. And you can kind of like throw low leverage guys and keep your best guys fresh. Like that's, obviously you'd rather it not happen, but you can turn it around to a spot where like you have something to work with there. Oh,
absolutely. And Quebec used their front line relievers. They went through Chu, who went an inning and 2/3. He's not going to be available to pitch in game 2. Obviously, in a game 3 elimination, everyone's available.
I don't know, maybe. We'll see, dude. Playoffs, everyone's available, I'm telling you. I wouldn't count him out.
I mean, it's an elimination game, so he'll be available on that front, but you'd really, really like to not.
Yes. I usually say 15 pitches, you're not available the next day, and then every 15 after that adds a day, pretty much. So, yeah, I mean, I would say he's probably, but 31's on the line of being available 2 days later, and in a playoff series, I'd say give him the ball, baby. If you need him, use him.
This is indie ball. I've seen a man throw 160 pitches for a no-hitter.
Dude, yeah, it's big dog season. We talking about it here.
I remember seeing guys throw 150 in a meaningless game.
Yeah, man. Absolute animal stuff going on here. What are we talking about?
Hold on. The real question here is, has he already had TJ or not?
Damn, that's a good question.
Because if he already had TJ, then let him go. He has nothing left to lose in that arm.
Damn it, dude.
Either way, I think he's like an emergency case scenario here. Because you figure Muscatello should still be good to go. He only threw 2/3 of an inning.
Right, as long as he's good to go.
He's a dog. He's a fighter. He'll want to go back. He'll be fine.
That's a fighter.
He knows he's like, I need to win a championship before I go back to Long Island for the last week of the season.
Right? He still got work to do before hitting the Ducks, before getting that orange jersey on. I think he still got the hat. Probably does.
Absolutely. Probably just kept the jersey and stuff with him.
Facts.
Rolls up to ice slip, game ready.
Right, walking right off the bus onto the mound.
Waddling off the bus, dude. Please
nice.
Duck.
There you go.
But yeah, so it's an interesting series there. I will give some flowers to Ottawa here.
Yep.
They forced Quebec to play their game, and they beat them. And that's exactly what you have to do. They didn't stop fighting. They kept going and they didn't give them anything easy. And I will say this much. This is an Ottawa team that's going to burn you if you make mistakes.
Yes. You're good observation on that one.
Even without making mistakes, it was a 1-0 game. That was a kind of 50-50 one-run game. So, and I get it. Like, if Sandberg was able to pitch longer, he would have pitched longer, and then things go a little bit differently in your bullpen usage. But what ifs are what ifs.
Mm-hmm.
Point still remains. The way it played out, it was a 1-0 game with 2 outs. If you get Peyton Isaacson out, then the ball game's over and it's a different series entirely. So this is a Quebec team that, cannot take anything off, because this Ottawa team will just grab them by the throat and make them pay for it, which is something that's a little bit different for them. They got a bit with New Jersey last year. Evansville, I don't really recall them so much doing that in the final last year, punishing Quebec.
They made the most opportunities, but it wasn't like, damn, the imminent threat of Evansville's team at any given time. It was a bunch of guys who were hot at the time, but like not like.
Yeah, I also remember it being a team where I kept yelling about the fundamentals.
The fundies, yes, I agree.
Yes.
That whole series was kind of a question mark on the fundies.
The whole playoff, dude. The whole playoff. Gateway had problems. Evansville had problems. At moments, Quebec did, which was very out of character.
Yeah.
Just
it was a weird series.
Sloppy ball. But any event, in the past, Quebec's been able to get away with a little substandard play. They're not going to get away with that again.
Doesn't feel like it this series now.
Yeah. But they do have the depth to win it out. So we'll see how that goes. And I guess the next time we talk about the Frontier League will be a few games in on the championship series, right? Because I figure 9 will probably be an off day. Game 1 will probably be 10. Game 2 will probably be 11. Off day 12. And then game 3 on 13.
Yeah, that math checks out. Just checking the schedule here. Yeah, it looks right.
But you know what's going to happen, right? Someone's going to go up 2 games, and we're going to have to straddle the line on okay, is it going to be a sweep? Yeah. Is it not going to be a sweep?
Is this going to be a comeback, and we're going to waste a whole bunch of people's time?
Yeah, as though we're not doing that right now.
Yeah, honestly. Why do we like this?
I don't know. We still have to talk about the American Association.
I know. Oh, we got to move.
We got to move. Yeah.
Goodness.
Good news is the American Association is going to go by fairly quick. The 8 teams we expect to be in made it. Winnipeg took Sioux Falls. Kind of regretting that one right now. Mm-hmm. Cleburne took Chicago. They're not regretting that one right now. And that's how it's going. General rundown from the first games on each of those. Game number 2 is tonight, Friday night, and then, if necessary, game 3 will be day of release. So won't spend too much time on this just because it's likely going to be all out of date within 24 hours. It will be out of date 24 hours with the release. Canaries got to Matilovich, which is very, very out of character for him. And the offense no-showed again, which not great, Winnipeg. We can't go back to May or June gold eyes. We want August gold eyes. Mm-hmm. Kane handled Lake Country. Apparently benches cleared at one point. It seemed to be just a bunch of talking that spilled over. Fargo won a controversial game 1 against Sioux City. So there is that. Controversy, of course, being that check swing that was called a strike, but he didn't move his bat. So it's not really a strike. Not great. But again, a 2-1 game, you could score more than one run, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, we mentioned this a little bit ago, but like Sioux City shouldn't be here. So like, you know, in a real playoff system, you wouldn't have had the opportunity to be screwed. So like, I don't care as much.
We're not telling you to say thank you, but
But like, let's take stock.
Oh, calm down. Let's take a breath here. You're not getting robbed on your in the imminent march toward a championship here.
You had more of grounds for last year's kind of screw job. That one was like, ooh, boy, that's not.
No,
good.
I understand the reflex from like it's happening again, but like, yeah.
I mean, I capitalized on it too by saying that this is the indie ball's greatest rivalry: Sioux City in the postseason versus the Empire Crew.
Yeah, good tweet. Good tweet.
Which does seem to happen surprisingly large amount of the time, but let's be honest here, lads. It's going to be Cleveland's year.
If you're a fringe playoff team that's trouble putting teams away, you let the umpires control more.
Yeah, that's pretty spot on.
Sorry for like it's a really harsh take, but like literally I'm just saying like it's the odds, like those are the numbers. That's why it seems like it's them a lot because it is.
Yeah, the call is coming from inside the house.
This is the position you created for yourself, friends.
Oh no, the consequences of my inaction.
Very much so.
Yep. So there is that. Claiborne handled business. They had a big inning and then ran the table from there.
Yep, they'll do that.
Pretty much all there is.
Surprise! Cleveland's going to Cleveland.
Yeah, I want to say more on the association, but I don't really have it. Like, okay, everything's going as expected. I mean, the Sioux Falls thing is a little unexpected. I didn't think it would be. I kind of assumed Winnipeg would at the very least win them at Lovich start. I felt like that was pretty much a lock, but
yeah, that's going to be trouble for them now.
Yeah, you're going to have to recover from that. Now, they have the pitching depth to do it, but that's really the only series of interest at the moment.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I mean, Kane should handle business against Lake Country, which good for them. Ahead of schedule. Glad to see that from them.
Yes, agreed.
I guess, yeah. First round exits a little bit ahead of schedule. Milwaukee probably on paper should have had that spot, so good for them. Got hot and just probably will fall a little bit short. Fargo and Sioux City should be more exciting than it is, but like Fargo should win this.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, last year we kind of ran into like, hey, a lot of the like foreseeable outcomes happen in the American Association playoffs. It does seem like we're heading that way, though. Winnipeg is a question mark, though I wouldn't necessarily call it the biggest surprise in the world. So I don't know.
Yeah. There is a bunch at the top of that division. Has been for a while.
Yeah. I mean, taking a heavy offense team when you're a pitching team is weird. I always shy toward go with a team that is more, if that is your strength in such like a noticeable way, go with a team that's more fringy offensively and then try to bury them fully by being so above average pitching wise. But I don't know. I haven't really broken down the nature of that choice too much, so I could just be talking.
Yeah, I mean, like Sioux City would have been the obvious pick there, right? Because they're in that division.
Yeah, I think so.
Not taking Sioux City as a call. I get the travel aspect of it, but like, it still feels like that's the pick.
It's the playoffs, baby. You're gonna have to travel. Get the boys on the bus and handle it.
Yeah, I get it.
But honestly, if you already know it's going to be Sioux City, and if you feel like you have to play an away game first, even though I'm not sure how that would have worked, I do need to check that. But
yeah, game one's away.
You can always, yeah. I mean, then you can pack them boys up early, have them ready to go. Like make
that bus
most
sit
of your
in
time
Dakota.
Yeah, like honestly, that's just my 2 cents. But there's always logistics that we're not aware of, so I will give room for that.
You could be a real ass too if your last game's not at home. Be like, we're going to forfeit it because we're going to get started on the road.
Yeah, I feel like there must be something in place to prevent that happening. I mean, that team would hate them, giving away the fan appreciation day. That can't happen. Rude.
especially against another playoff team, so you can't even do like a split squad.
It's so terrible.
God, improvised home run derby.
Oh, that just made me sad.
The lowest man in the bullpen, like, guess what you're about to do, brother?
Nah, you just well, yeah, I get it.
Bench coach, actually. That's bench coach.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, gotta be the VP guy.
Head to
What
head
else we got
20
on the docket here.
Yeah. Last point for the American Association, because I did get into it a little bit on Twitter, and I will just summarize it. We did get American Association awards. I'm not going to go through them all now because there's a surprisingly large amount of awards for that league. I'm defending my take. Madalova should have won MVP. He had a good enough year to do it. I'm not going to take away from Teeter. He had a great year. The 40 on base streak, very impressive. That being said, Madalovich had a more impressive stretch here. You look at the games he pitched, you look at the results he had. As far as regular season went, he had one bad start, which wasn't even that bad. It's a 5-run start. The dude dominated on every conceivable level. He nearly won the Triple Crown when it came to pitching. And the thing is, the one category he didn't win was wins, a stat that's really outside of a pitcher's control by and large. And on a team that's as anemic on offense as Winnipeg was for large parts of this year, the fact he still had 11 was damn impressive. So we look at that, and Ty Colbreth is the guy that won that one. I'm not taking away from Ty. He had a great year too, but like, you're on a team that hits well. You're on a team that also plays in a ballpark where runs come. So like, it's a little bit easy to get those wins. We add on to the fact we look at the other two of the majors, the strikeout and the ERA. ERA, I believe he was 0.4 better than the next closest guy, nearly a half run. Strikeout wise, he was 30 better. You look at the individual pitching performances. He had more 10 strikeout games than he did 5 or more run games. You break it down further. I went onto it a little bit on Twitter, and it was something stupid. Like, he had more games of 8 or more Ks than 4 or more runs against. There was a stretch where I think he only had about 5 starts where he allowed more than 6 hits in a start. There's a certain level of dominance that comes there. He was the frontline guy on a team that was built to pitch.
I don't agree.
My biggest thing is I don't think we're seeing enough respect for pitchers that have great years.
They have their own award, dude.
That's great. I don't care. Is best player, or is a pitcher a player? Yes or no?
Yes.
Right. However, you're eligible to win it, and he didn't.
I know, and no, he didn't. I'm sorry, he didn't.
He did.
He had a good game once every week. Think the hell out of here.
He had 19 good games.
19 good games. Very cool. Sounds like.
What do you do? It's easy to find a guy that can hit.
No, I don't think it is. That's just not. As from somebody who has also been like, oh yeah, I don't really respect like or value good pitching for a team. It's like, well, then what value is the good pitching bringing, man?
No. See, again, we're conflating this. I said you can't win a championship on good pitching alone because at a certain point you're going to need to hit. That's what I said.
But
it has nothing to do with individual.
I'm just not going to get fully into it now. There will be time to get into it in the off season, but like, I just don't agree with it when it comes to like the combined value throughout the season.
4 stars. 4 stars where you allowed 4 or more runs.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to respect the first baseman more than this? Hell, I think Ryan Hernandez did more than Jacob Teeter did.
Now, if we're saying the right batter got it, that's a different conversation. I actually don't think that. But yeah, dude. This is not disrespect to his season. I think he pitched amazing. I think he was great. I just don't think it's an MVP season.
See, I disagree heavily on that.
I might come around. I'm going to deep dive into it, but like at first glance, dude, I just don't agree with this.
I'm just saying. I think that Madalovich deserves this award. And I don't really see what start Like, what more could he have done to say that I deserve it? And I don't see, like, outside the on-base streak, nothing out there screams to me like, yeah, this guy deserves this MVP. That's all I got in the American Association. I stand by that. I'm going to stay on the Matt Lovich point because, quite frankly, I think he was robbed. And I frankly
I'm sure we will be discussing it further.
Yeah. And I will just end with this. I don't really give a damn what voters think. I've seen that way too much as an argument of, well, the voters agree. Like, that's lovely. I don't care.
Isn't it the same thing as like, well, the likes or the interactions or whatever?
Look how many views I got on this tweet. That's a lot of voters. Pioneer League, YOLO clinched a playoff spot tonight. That's pretty cool. Oakland's about to do the same thing. That's going to be a fun little playoff series. Although if Oakland does lose the next three, and what is it, Boise wins the next three, then
yeah, possible.
Won't happen, but good for them. That's the thing. So
yeah, probably won't, but it is interesting. Keeping it interesting, at least, for sure. I appreciate it.
So we got 2 Montana teams and 2 California teams.
Yes. Well, there you go. I got sent the details on the who plays who in the playoffs, and
I'm going to assume first half plays first half, second place, second half plays second half, because that makes the most logical sense.
I would like to think that. Let's see if I got anything interesting. First seed of the postseason shall be the club with the best half-season record of either first or second half winner.
Missoula.
Best half season. So I guess the first half's winner, like the first half record, I guess.
My understanding was you look at the 4 winners, their record when they won their half, whoever is the best record. So like, I'll just use the real world example here. My understanding of it, once these standings come up, would be Missoula having the best record at 37-11 would play whoever has the worst half record. So currently that sits as Glacier because they're 29-19. That said, let's say YOLO here were to lose out, then I imagine they would probably do a tiebreaker, just be like, you're going to California. So that would actually be somewhat interesting because if Oakland and YOLO both lose out, then everybody has the same record, no matter what.
Yeah, right.
So then I get a little tricky. So you have to go to tiebreaker. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, YOLO.
2 more teams with the same full season.
Yeah.
It's head-to-head full season. And then it's fewest overall runs allowed per game.
Oh, yeah, because they have that poison pill in there.
Yeah.
But let's say, for the sake of argument, to avoid this, Oakland gets to 30 wins and YOLO gets to 31 wins. If that were the case, then the 2 California teams would play each other and both Montana teams would play each other.
Yeah. Which I'm fine with. That's okay.
Yeah. It makes the most sense.
Right. I can get on board on a few levels.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways that works. From both financial, interest-based, probably development-based for the 2 California teams. Everything works better.
Yeah, right.
And if we're being honest, current level of competition works the best too. Because Glacier is not looking good, and Missoula is quietly 500.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So that is a thing. And on that note, Missoula is at 60 wins, so they aren't going to get to 70. That's a shame. But, yeah, so that's how the Pioneer League's looking. They're going to wrap up some point this week, and then the playoffs are going to start this week. So, good for them. Although, I'd like to see YOLO make the final, if I get my say. Give me YOLO Missoula. I could be happy with that ending.
A little bit of chaos would be fun, man.
Although that Oakland social media would be popping off, they win a championship.
Oh, God.
Bouncing
my head off a curb, dude.
Aiming for the cleats when you play rugby now.
Yeah, man. For those out of the loop, I have a sizable hole in my hand and also my knee, which is a fun takeaway from the week. So yeah, it's been a little bit tough to do content while like I'm constantly, as I say it, messing up my mouse pad or keyboard with various blood sources.
You had the opportunity to say bodily fluids.
I know, I hate that. I'm not going to do that.
Ryan messed up his keyboard with various bodily fluids.
Ugh, damn you.
I bear witness.
Ugh, you should see the hole in my hand. Got it. Super glue, baby.
And that's what we're going to need to keep this whole show together. And I think we're at the end of the line. So,
in every way possible.
All right, plug your stuff.
Any Ball Nation on whatever you feel like. We're going to go simple today.
Okay. Any Ball Pod, Twitter, Any Ball Report, everywhere else. Trying to get back into YouTube content. Put out a Frontier League video.
I'm trying to get all sorts of content, dude. I feel for you. I feel that grind, man. I appreciate that you did the YouTube video.
It was extremely mid, but I thought it was fun enough to do and didn't take that long to put together. But
no. And you wanted to do that on something, so I love that.
Yeah. I wanted to do an American Association one, but did not get around to that one because I was slacking in a couple departments.
Yeah, I'm needing my hand to get just better enough that I can like type and click freely, but like not so much better that I'm back to like my full obligations in life. And that way, hopefully, I can really catch up on some content. Maybe I'll fall into that sweet spot here.
Well, we'll have to find out next time.
Next time on whatever this is.
A mess, but until then, don't forget to play ball.